Did y'all know they over in Mexico tearing white people's asses up right now? If you don't believe me, you can go look it up. But the Mexicans that are in Mexico are literally coming after people who are claiming to be nomads. You know, all those boomers who have now retired and are looking for a cheaper place to live with their retirement. They decided to go to Mexico and try to gentrify Mexico. And they said, no, sir, no, ma'am. The Mexican people are going through their cities where they've built all these places of shops and restaurants, and they are breaking everything. They are blaming this boomer generation and these digital nomads for the reasons why the price of living is going up. They say that over the last 5 years, just rent alone has gone up 43% because of them. They said that because of them, they are now having to choose between groceries, rent, and electricity. And they didn't waste no time telling them, get the fuck out. They even said they was coming on their beaches telling them that their mariachi bands can't play their music. The nerve. That's a cultural thing that's been going on there forever. Why would you think you get to go to someone else's country and tell them what to do? There was even one of the protesters who was quoted stating, this is how colonialism works, and we're going to put a stop to it before it ever even happens, honey. And they don't look like they're joking around, busting windows straight out, honey.
My family moved to Mexico about a year ago, and people have been asking a lot about the cost of living.
I really think this kind of content is extremely harmful to the locals in Mexico. I also find the irony that when palm-colored folks move to Mexico, they call themselves expats, but when Mexicans move to the United States, they are labeled as immigrants and refugees, and they're not given the respect that they deserve because they're contributing to society by working in jobs that Americans do not want, and they're paying taxes. And it's funny that her video addresses the cost of living when in many of her videos she's being asked whether or not she's paying local taxes, because the reality is if you move to a community where you're not contributing to the local economy or local society by paying taxes, you are absorbing local resources at the detriment of those who are native to that community. And also, yes, it may be cheaper to live in Mexico than Vancouver, but imagine what will happen when you keep inviting non-natives to move to Mexico. What will happen to the cost of living? We already see that happening in Hawaii. We already see that happening in parts of Mexico where people are being priced out of their native lands by non-locals. If it's expensive to live in Vancouver and America because the cost of living is rising everywhere, what will happen when you price them out of their own community? Where will they go?
Dear Americans, you are not expats here in Europe. You are immigrants. Yet, when you leave the America to come to live in our countries, for example, in my home country, Portugal, and you come here to brag how cheap it is, you should all come here, when in fact it's not cheap for Portuguese people. You are not an expat. You are not a digital nomad. You are an immigrant. Just like Mexican people in your country. The difference is Mexican people actually learn your language, for example. While you are here, you live, for example, in Portugal or in Spain for like 3 years and you barely know how to say thank you in our languages. Also, Mexican people in your country have jobs that actually contribute for the country they are currently living in, so in your country, United States. While you, no, because you still work to your own country. So yeah, start respecting immigrants in your country because you also are an immigrant in our countries.
I would much rather chill here in the villages of Bulgaria and Eastern Europe with the chickens than be in America right now. Because life here is just so simple, so elegant. I don't have the stress of paying $3,000, $4,000 a month for rent. I don't have to worry about that shit. My rent here is $200 a month. What do I have to worry about? I don't have to worry about being stuck in traffic 17 hours a day. Like, what? All these foods in America injected with all these hormones and steroids and GMOs. No, thank you. No, thank you. If I want chicken, I got one right here in my backyard.
If there's one group of Americans that I dislike, it's Americans who are expats to poorer countries. Of course your rent is 200 euros, because minimum wage in Bulgaria is 400 euros a month. So your rent is half of what somebody making minimum wage in Bulgaria is. By the way, hi, my name is Ivana. I like to talk about these things, and if you like to hear about these things, then make sure to... Americans who move abroad, especially to poorer countries, and then who make videos talking about how nicer the country is, how they don't have to stress in that country, and how cheap everything is. It screams American privilege. Most of the time, they're either American content creators making money off of those videos promoting Americans to move to these countries, promoting gentrification, and they make on average, just off of TikTok alone, between $2,000 and $6,000 a month. And if they're not a content creator, then they're working remotely. And if they're not working remotely, then they have American savings to fund their lifestyle. Let's not even start to talk about the 17 hours the average American spends in traffic a day. Or the fact that you can have that type of lifestyle in the US as well. You can have a farm, you can have your own eggs, you can have your own chickens. You can move to the countryside, you can move to a farm, you can move to a small town. You don't have to live in Chicago or New York City. You don't have to live in LA. And you especially don't have to go to another country with people who are poorer than you as your living luxury because of your American job, because of your American content creator lifestyle, because of your American savings. Nobody is stopping you from moving there, but promoting it, I mean, Bulgarians in your own comments are telling you not to come, so.
American citizens are increasingly turning to Australia, with dozens applying for asylum since the start of the year. At least 29 US citizens have applied for humanitarian protection visas in Australia, according to data from the Department of Home Affairs. The visa offers protection for people who are at real risk of significant harm or persecution in their home country. But the number of applicants from the US is on the rise, climbing from less than 5 in February to 14 in July. So far, no protection visas have been granted to Americans this year, but the application process can take months or years to complete. While the reason behind each application has not been revealed, there has been an uptick in the number of Americans looking to move abroad since Donald Trump returned to office. A survey conducted earlier this year found that 40% of Americans had seriously considered moving to another country, with Gen Z and millennials the most likely to head overseas. The top reasons given for wanting to leave were dissatisfaction with political leadership and desire for a higher quality of life and economic progress. What countries are they looking to move to? Well, it is Canada, the UK and Australia, who all top the list.
This is Bruce. No, he is orange, but let's not call him Trump. Let's call him Bruce. Bruce is a Republican. For the last 25 years, he has been voting for the Republican administration, which keeps on giving his money away. Now Bruce had discovered something, eh? The American dream is dead. So what does Bruce do? Bruce moves abroad. Mexico, Africa, Southeast Asia, Portugal, Hong Kong, anywhere. Now, these people are protesting against Bruce after Bruce moved there. They say, Bruce, go back to your damned country and fix it. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony. I am the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Americans are leaving this country in record numbers. And I'm not talking about vacation. I'm talking packing their bags, booking their flights, and leaving for good. In the first few months of 2025 alone, the amount of people that just said, I'm done, and moved abroad doubled from the year before. That's not just a blip, okay? That's a wave. So why? Same reasons you and I complain about every day. Cost of living going through the roof, political chaos that never seems to end, and the fear of safety even when you're just going to the grocery store. But here's the thing, it's not just dreamers or millionaires doing it. It's normal people. It's people with families. It's young people, old people, retirees, people who are working remote. One common thread holding all of these people together is they just want a dignified life. That's why you're seeing places like Greece, Spain, France, Portugal. Their cafes are filling up with Americans who are just done. People love to scream, if you don't like it, leave. Well, we are, thousands and thousands of us. We will be joining that wave soon. If you're curious about moving abroad, stick around, because we're about to embark on this journey ourselves, and we can't wait. At the end of the day, people like us just want to make life work. And if we think that we can do that better outside of this country, then who's to say we can't?
Dude, okay. Just got out of meeting with our accountant tax person. So we're moving out of the country. We live in Utah. We are planning on selling my husband's businesses and selling all of our stuff and moving to Costa Rica. We're doing it. The plan is to be out of here by July. So we've got 6 months to get everything done. Just so you know, moving out of the country is no joke. There's a lot of stuff to do, but I'm here for it. And everything is figure outable. So let's go, I say. So this is the thing I wanted to share. This is crazy. I did not know this. So when we moved to Costa Rica, because we were born a U.S. citizen, we will have to continue to pay taxes in the U.S. It doesn't matter if we live in Costa Rica somewhere else or not. So forever till we die, we have to fill out forms and pay taxes to the U.S. Okay, that's crazy. So apparently we are the U.S.'s bitch until we die. Okay, what? That seems wrong. Anyway, not only that, guess who else is the U.S.'s bitches until they die? Our kids. Because our kids were born in the U.S., even though they're young and little right now, when they start making money in Costa Rica, they have to file forms and pay taxes in the United States because they were born here. Wait, what? So, yeah. That just seems crazy to me. I'm like, that is so wrong. What? I used to think America was this like amazing country. Like, wow, I want to live in America. This is so amazing. And the more I'm learning about it, I'm learning even more as I'm like having to figure out what it would be like to move to a different place, that they still own me and they own my children who will never work a day in the U.S. in their life. And yet they're still paying their money to the U.S. Anyway. Something I wouldn't have known unless I was moving. So I was just going to share that with you. That's a little bit crazy.
I don't know why no one's talking about this, but there is a mass exodus of U.S. citizens from the United States. Look, I'm a real estate agent in Costa Rica. I help foreigners move abroad, move to Costa Rica, and make a life here. I've been getting a ton of stories from clients who are absolutely spent. I'm working with a psychiatrist who helps teenagers, and when I asked her why she wants to move to Costa Rica, she said, it's because I have lost all hope. My patients have lost hope. And what's worse is I have lost hope too. And how can I possibly be of service to someone else if I don't believe it's not going to get any better? So what she's doing is saving herself, packing up her bags, and moving abroad. This is where we are.
I just saw a tweet that said that the middle class in the US would freak if they found out how the middle class in China live. And I honestly agree, and it kind of like sparked a thought in my head. I was thinking how everyone here in the US is trying to make as much money as possible so that we can be as free as possible, right? But the only way to do that, and the only way to be as free, is to make a disgusting amount of money. You have to at least probably make like 500,000 plus or 300,000 plus and up to go on yearly vacations, to take some time off, to have savings. And that's just not attainable, obviously, for most of people. But it's crazy how in other countries, and I'm from Germany, where you don't have to make a fraction of that money to be nearly as happy. Or your money has more value and like you get way more stuff for your taxes. I don't know, it just makes you think like how people are brainwashed here.
Retired Americans in Puerto Vallarta are trying to shut down a restaurant that's been in service for over 35 years because they say that the mariachis are too loud. If you remember, in Mazatlan, they just tried the same exact thing. This is allegedly one of the women that put in a complaint. She just bought a house next door to a restaurant that always hires mariachis, and she says that she expected things to be nice and quiet. And apparently the local government is trying to help her out, but locals decided to gather together and host a huge mariachi protest saying that this restaurant should not be closed down. But not everybody is like the MAGA American that I showed you in the other picture, because there was many Americans that also pulled up in support to sign the petition to make sure that Gabby's Mexican restaurant did not shut down. And this is something that's been happening in 2024. If you remember, in Mazatlan, they just tried this a few weeks back, as hotels were telling people that they cannot bring bands to perform in public areas on beaches. That's because tourists were also complaining. But Fuzahanitas, let me know and drop a comment. Is this a W or L for American tourists?
So our boy Bruce went to Mexico, went to Cambodia, went to Thailand, they went to China, they went to Africa, they went to Portugal, to the Baltic countries, whereby healthcare is affordable with their money. Healthcare is affordable, the housing is cheap, the cost of living generally is lower for the middle class. And now they are encouraging other Americans to move into those countries. What happens? The landlords in those places where these guys are moving over, they change the apartments to suit them. And what happens is that the rent prices in these places skyrocket. The poor in those places are kicked out of those places the way they were kicked out of the United States. Now the locals are protesting. Go back to your country. So people are moving out of the United States to escape the hostile political atmosphere because the cost of living is high, healthcare is crashing. You know, I mean, a tax is unbearable, and they are moving to other countries like Greece, name them. These countries whereby life is good. The government of these countries, they want them to come. Why? Because they bring in the dollars with them. But the locals don't want them there because they bring with them the corporate greed. That's why you saw even in Spain there were massive protests against the Americans who come to the coastal towns of those places. They come in massive numbers. They come there to stay, and they cause everything to skyrocket. So the Spanish citizens were protesting, sprinkling them with water. No, get out of our country. Go fix your damn country where you came from. These people are telling Americans, our country is not a retirement plan. If you can't fix your damned country or you can retire in peace, don't come here. And since Trump came into office, and even after COVID, there has been a growing negative sentiments against Americans in general. They are rude, they are racist, they are loud. You know what I mean? So it's very bad. And to all influencers who are incentivizing people to come over to other countries to maybe escape the economic crisis in this country. No, we must fix this country before moving over to other places because we have no other home. This is our country. Let's stick here. Let's vote well in the midterms and maybe fix it step by step. We don't run away from the battle. We're not cowards. So give me your thoughts in the comment section. So until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.